Now, actually, I'm being unfair to the executives who we in the creative sector see too often as the enemy and not as partners in the business of getting our shows made. I'm also being unfair on myself. I am an expert. I'm an expert in what I do, as is anyone good at lighting design, producing, first ADing, script editing, presenting, directing, post-producing. Any of the 101 professions that appear on the cast and crew list at the start of each production. Our program-making skills are not just a vague part of our heritage, they are the primary economic component of our success. When the media, communications, and information industries make up nearly 8% of our GDP, larger than the car and oil and gas industries put together, we need to be heard as those industries are heard. When so many other countries come here to work with our crews, when so many of our actors are pinched for projects overseas, we need to be heard. When internationally, our writing and acting and directing and special effects are being recognized, when our formats and ideas are being sold and reworked worldwide as never before, when, as Culture Minister Ed Vaizey recently pointed out, Britain is ranked the #1 soft power in the world, measured for its global influence through its culture, media, and education. When our creative community is really being heard abroad, surely we need to be heard at home. But when I see the panel of experts who've been asked by the Culture Secretary to take a root and branch look at the BBC, I don't see anyone who is a part of that cast and crew list. I see executives, media owners, industry gurus, all talented people, but not a single person who's made a classic and enduring television show, not a presenter, a writer, director, or creative producer. No Moffat or Wainwright or Melville or Mercurio, nor do I see anyone from our world-class post-production industry or from design or drama, no one from the enormous world-beating service of day-to-day production to give their views, to offload their expertise on the difficulties and the joys and the challenges of making world-standard public service broadcasting. Oh, and no viewers too. Just people from the executive branch of television. It's like a car company was looking into what car it should make next, but only spoke to the managers and not to any of the engineers or drivers. You cannot have a meaningful root and branch review of television if you're only going to deal with one branch. Now, I wonder at this, why do politicians not talk to us creatives? Is it because we don't wear a tie? Are they more wary of us because we deal with intangible stuff, made-up stories, unquantifiable and unpredictable entertainments that make us interesting but not really serious? The sort of person is good to be photographed chatting to at a thank you reception for the arts, rather than properly engaging with at a boardroom meeting, deciding how crucial segments of the arts should be run. Maybe that's why executives who have staff and offices and budgets and ties get invited onto committees every year, while creatives are brought along for canopies every 5. Talk to us. No one comes into contact more regularly with the hard economics of making a budget work than a production team. Every time I make a show, I am a small businessman, responsible for hundreds of employees, in charge of a budget of millions of pounds. And of course, if the project isn't successful, the work won't come back. In America, the key production personnel, the writers, the first AD, senior researchers, are credited as producers. They're rewarded for their key creative input. On my HBO show, Veep, which we shot in Baltimore, we had a set visit from the state governor who came to thank us for the work we were bringing to Maryland. A true, essential role in the business of making good television was acknowledged. I mentioned earlier, viewers. If Britain is at the top of its game in TV creativity, I think it's because we have the best audience in the world. I think the British public yearns for good stories, stimulating argument, and original ideas. It knows bullshit when it sees it, soon tires of the same old, and hungers for something new all the time. It makes the difficult and takes the difficult, the idiosyncratic, and it makes it popular. That's why we in television should feel lucky to be born in this country or to have come here to work. I love it that we think nothing of the fact that a show about baking is a key part of our primetime viewing, or shows about antiques, or family trees, or polar bears. We don't appreciate how deeply weird it is not to be fed one cop show after another. That's what I remember from watching television when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. The range in front of me, I could watch smart comedy like Monty Python and not the 9 o'clock news, but I also had Bruce and His Generation Game, Morecambe and Wise, and no one to tell me only one type of show was for me and not the other. I loved it that I could glide from Fawlty Towers to a Horizon documentary on Voyager's trip past Saturn. For a comedy and a space geek, that was satisfying, even if it seems a little embarrassingly sad talking about it now. But what I take from then is that British television said this, that everything, the whole world of knowledge and of creativity is on offer, is for you, all of you. No matter what your background, you are all equally welcomed to the most varied content the world's best program makers could deliver. Now, yes, there were limits on the number of channels and hours, but you didn't feel a limit on ideas and ambition. And that pride in what we made has stayed with me. All I can do if I want to be any part of that tradition and make sure that I make the best shows I possibly can and treat my audience with respect and intelligence. So recently, it's been the biggest source of pride to me that Veep, a show made primarily for an American audience, that this show was very much a British production. It was written in the UK, it was edited here, scored here, post-produced here, using British directors. Our editors were awarded by their American peers with the ACE Award for Best Edited Half Hour of US Television. Our writers won the Writers Guild of America Award. We've received Emmy nominations across all departments. Now, this comes as no surprise to me. There's no magic secret. And it's certainly not my doing. I simply trust British talent, as I've been trusted. I believe we are the best in the world at what we do, and I'm prepared to act on that basis.